One of the things that a landlord loves to negotiate on without a broker involved is not necessarily a new lease, but it's a lease renewal.
That's their favorite transaction.
That's their favorite transaction, because a renewal is the one where they know how hard it was for that healthcare provider to build out that space. They know how long it took. They know the expense that is going to incur if that provider moves. And so in order for the healthcare provider to get the best deal possible, you've got to have the right amount of time. You've got to have the right posture. You have to have so many things working. You've got to plan this so far in advance. And that's just where so many of our clients get taken advantage of. If they don't come to us early enough, they show up like you were talking about, when they've negotiated the lease or their attorney is reviewing the lease 2 months before lease expiration and go, hey, can you take a look at this? I'm like, there's nothing I can do at this point.
You got to ask yourself the question, if that space was vacant, what would a new provider or what would a new tenant receive from the landlord? They'd receive a 5 to 6 month build out period to renovate or finish the space. They'd most likely receive a free rent package if they were properly represented, 3 to 4 months of free rent to offset moving costs or to offset startup costs. They're not going to overpay on their rent. They don't care what the previous tenant was paying. They're going to negotiate competitively and they're going to get the most favorable terms possible. They're going to look for the highest tenant improvement allowance possible. They're going to look for market rates when it comes to annual increases or other economic deal points. And so if you look at a healthcare provider going up against a landlord who negotiates professionally for a living and then asking a question like, what would you do for me if I wanted to stay, or would you send me a proposal? The landlord knows for a fact that they're going to save or make themselves literally hundreds of thousands of dollars more than if that tenant was properly represented, went to the market, found 4 or 5 other competing offers, competing properties, and fully understood all their options before they even had one discussion with that landlord.
Can't even tell you how many clients I've had that they had done a renewal in that space previous to working with us, and they're like, oh no, my landlord, they did great. You know, they came in and they put all new carpet in here last time. And I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah, they gave you a whole $3 to $4 a square foot on that. I mean, we all know the scenario of, you see the offer for the new cable subscriber, the new cell phone subscriber, who, come over here and we will give you this great deal and we'll give you this free phone, $1,000 phone, all this. And we look at it, we've been with AT&T or whoever for all these years. I'm like, how come I don't get that deal? Yeah. Everybody knows it. I mean, it's to the point where comedians make jokes about it. So we know this is very much in our culture, but yet they're not applying the same logic to their lease. Why should you not get the same concessions, the same benefit that a new tenant who's never paid that landlord a dime is going to get?
Well, and landlords love lease renewals because they know, let's say you're in your space for 10 or 15 years, you have annual escalations built in. So after 10 years, after 15 years, most leases are grossly over market, right? Versus what they would be giving a brand new tenant, to your point. Yeah. And so you come in, landlords love that because they know, hey, if I just slide over a lease renewal to this tenant a month before the expiration, they've got no options. And so they're going to have to sign this, and they might say, hey, we're going to be a good landlord here and give you a month free, knowing that they're overcharging this tenant by $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a month.